You may begin.
Okay, sounds good. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Leon. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Design and Construction. I form part of a development group at Aviation, and we support both O'Hare and Midway International Airports. Today, I'll give a presentation overview on the O'Hare 21 program. I'll also provide specifics on the TAP projects, and those are the gate expansion. So it'll be the Terminal 2 redevelopment, Satellite Concourse 1, and Satellite Concourse 2, and then the associated work. I also have a couple of professional service opportunities in the area of construction management and design that I'll provide an update for. And then I'll close out with some of the near-term capital improvement projects that we have in the next few years that'll go into construction. So, moving on. O'Hare 21. So O'Hare 21 is comprised of 4 or 5 different programs here. OMP, which most of you are familiar with, that's the runway program. We just commissioned a few days ago. Last week, we commissioned the last final new runway, 9 center, 27 center. We're shifting our focus on the last component of the OMP, which is a 9 right extension. And so we'll close that out here in the next year. As I mentioned earlier, the terminal area plan, that's the program or the set of projects that are focused on the gate expansion. So that's the Terminal 2 redevelopment, and then the new Satellite Concourse 1 and 2. It also includes components of Terminal 5 as well, which I'll speak to here. And the near-term gate improvements, obviously Terminal 5, that's a new, that's in construction right now. And then we're going to complete 3 gates in Terminal 3, which is a continuation of 5 gates that we opened up back in April of 2018. And then, like I said, I'll go through some of these capital improvement projects, CIP projects that we have slated for the next couple of years. So the key procurements are the key initiatives that we have for the O'Hare 21. That's program management, the PMO. That's Chicago Connect Alliance and DimGem Aviation Partners. Like I said, once we sunset the OMP next year, DimGem, that contract will also be sunset. On the NEPA front, the environmental assessment, obviously we work closely with our FAA partners to get regulatory approval to build Terminal 2 and the satellites. For the O'Hare Global Terminal, the design team that is working hard on that effort right now is Studio RD. For the satellite concourses, that's SLM, a local firm. They're also working diligently on the satellite concourse 1 and 2. And then the lead civil engineer, the tunnel and the pavement components of this campus, that is HMTB. And then for the most part, most of the components will be delivered through construction managers at risk. And there's 3 entities. That's AECOM, Clayco Boa JV, Austin Power Partners JV, and then the Turner Passion Aviation Partners JV. Again, here's an overview of the major components of O'Hare 21 from right to left. You've got the Terminal 5 redevelopment. Like I said, that's in construction right now. The key addition to that would be the extension, which will net us 10 new gates when we reconfigure that terminal. Additional bump outs there in the core, right in the center. That'll give us some additional concession space and club space. And then that red box that you see right in the center, that's a new parking garage, an amenity, obviously, that will be needed in this facility as we introduce more domestic capacity. Highlighted in that orange L-type finger, that is the gate or the expansion, 5 gates that was opened in 2018, April of 2018. On the back side of that, you see a few other gates. We're going to focus on adding those gates here shortly as well. We've got regulatory approval for that, so we're just waiting to secure those agreements to get moving on those gates. And then moving on the green, you see that's the Terminal 2 footprint. That's the redevelopment. That's going to be the centerpiece, the crown jewel of O'Hare 21. It'll have international capacity as well. You know, that'll be delivered towards the tail end of the program. Satellite Concourse 1 and 2, highlighted in blue and purple. We'll get after those here shortly. Within the next couple of years, we have some civil work that we do have regulatory approval on that we're currently focusing on, moving utilities and some infrastructure out of the way so we can get going on those buildings. Here are some of the TAP components, so the TAP utilities. As I mentioned, you know, we're hoping to get started on some of this work that we have regulatory approval for in advance of building those gates. So that's slated to start here shortly in the first quarter of 2021. That's going to be delivered CMR. You know, they estimated totals 50 to 20 million. There'll be several packages as they're going to be delivered via CMR. So that's an opportunity for the trades to hold a prime contract. That's the way those CMR contracts are structured. As far as compliance goals, it's a 26 and 6. And it'll be over the course of a few years. I talked about that Terminal 5 parking improvements that's currently under design. We anticipate, again, starting some of that utility work, some of that infrastructure work coming shortly here in the first quarter of 2021. That's going to get delivered via CMR. The value of the overall project is 75 to 125 million. The compliance goals on that are 26 and 6, and it'll be over the course of 18 months. So there'll be several packages that'll be released within that time period. Satellite Concourse 1 is the first gate package, or the first concourse out of the gate. That's slated for the first quarter of 2022. It's also going to be delivered via CMR. The duration on that is 56 months, and the overall construction value is 550 to 650 million. The goals on that are 26 and 6. So obviously, you know, there's going to be a lot of opportunities there and a lot of different trades. You know, and it's a 56-month duration, so there'll be plenty of opportunities. Packages will be right-sized, you know, to definitely exceed that compliance goal there. Satellite Concourse 2, that'll be the second project. So that's a bit further out. It's fourth quarter of 2022. It's also going to be delivered via CMR. It's a less complicated facility. as opposed to Satellite 1. Satellite 2 is only has domestic capacity. Satellite Concourse 1 does have some international capacity, so some larger gates and then some infrastructure to support that international traffic. On Satellite Concourse 1, though, it's a 45-month duration, 450 million to 550, and the compliance component of that is 26 and 6. And then the crown jewel of the O'Hare 21 program, obviously, is the O'Hare Global Terminal and O'Hare Global Concourse. It'll have both international and domestic capacity. We'll have some Mars gates to maximize the use of that facility during off-peak international flights, so it'll allow us to use it domestically as well. This project is currently slated for the first quarter of 2025, obviously delivered via CMR. It's a larger, more complicated facility, so the estimated project cost is 1.5 to 2 billion. The compliance on that is 26 and 6. And again, that's because of its complexity, it's slightly longer, 50 months duration. So this is what's going to connect all the facilities. So we'll have the consolidated APM. It will not have the system in place, but it will protect for the right-of-ways. We'll have pedestrian tunnels and utilidors, and baggage handling right-of-ways. They're also obviously currently working diligently with in collaboration with SOM and Studio RD to inform, obviously the requirements and the civil requirements of those facilities. This is slated to start in the first quarter of 2022, delivered via CMR. Approximate cost is 450 to 550 million. The compliance on that is 26 and 6. And the duration obviously will span a lot longer than all three, obviously, because they have to work with both designers on the different components. We talked about earlier about Terminal 5, the improvements there. There's also additional parking and roadway curbway expansion. I mentioned that we're introducing domestic traffic here. Once we open the extension, we're gonna introduce Delta and their partners into this facility. So we're expanding the roadways and adding those amenities that would help that domestic traffic. Duration is 18 to 24 months. It'll be delivered via CMR, and we anticipate kicking off further down in the second quarter of 2024. And then the construction value on that is 50 to 75 million. The compliance on that is 26 and 6. Moving on to the professional service opportunities. We have the target market construction management services. So this is an agency CM. So as opposed to the CMR, which is going to help deliver TAP, this group of entities will help us with possibly some of those smaller TAP enabling projects, and then also our work load on the CIP projects, and they'll support both O'Hare and Midway international airports. We list here the different opportunities in terms of projects, airside projects, landside projects, terminal projects, site prep and security packages. We intend to award up to 4 contracts This is already advertised. It was advertised back in September. The term is 5 years, and then this is a target market. The compliance on this is target market. On the design side, we also have target market contracts. This one was advertised just recently, November 9th. Again, task order style for some O'Hare 21 programs, components, and the CIP projects, and they'll support both O'Hare and Midway International airports. Again, projects will include airside work, landside projects, terminal projects, site prep, and security packages. This is facilities architecture engineering, and then the separate category would be airport engineering services. So it'll be specific to airports, where the other category is centered on facilities. There'll be up to 4 contracts. Again, the term is 5 years, and this is target market compliance. The other groups are the federal and the non-federal on the design side. And again, same as the other pool, it'll be for components of the O'Hare 21 program, the CIP projects, and they'll support both airports. Same type of projects, airside work, landside projects, terminal projects, site prep, security packages. Same type of categories, facility, centered architecture and engineering, and then airport engineering services. For the M&W, we anticipate 6 contracts in each category. So 6 in facilities, architecture and engineering, and then 6 in airport engineering services. On the DBE side, on the federal contracts, we anticipate 4 in each category. This was recently advertised November 5th, so it's out. 5-year term, and as I mentioned, they're both federal and non-federal, so DBE and M&W compliance plans on those. And then the last category is the CIP construction projects, the projects that we have here in the near term, in the next few years. Sewer main lining. This is a straight, simple project, sewer lining of our sewer mains. It'll extend the useful life of our system. So we anticipate an advertisement of first quarter of 2022, 1.5, 1.5 to 2 million. Right now, we're anticipating this to be a design build contract, and then the compliance on that would be the M&W 26 and 6. Next project here is Taxiway Lima Lima Phase 2 extension. This is to clean up some irregular airfield geometry near the T5 campus. So it'll include pavement, utility work, the typical airfield categories of work. We anticipate an advertisement of third quarter of 2021. It's going to be a design build or construction manager at risk. Right now, we're slating this to be compliance of M&W. That could all change, though, if we were able to secure grant funding, potential grant funding for this project. So for now, we're listing as M&W. 90-inch Jawa relocation. This is to facilitate those improvements on the I-190 corridor. Some of you have either seen some of the work or have bid on some of the work. along this corridor over the past 10 to 15 years. So this is an enabling project. It's a complicated project. We anticipate a fourth quarter of 2021. Right now, we have an estimated value of 25 to 35 million. We anticipate it will go design, bid, build. But if time is an issue, then we may shift to construction manager at risk. But for now, we're assuming design, bid, build, and then the compliance plan on that would be a 26 and 6. Next project is the taxiway Y project. We recently rehabbed the runway 4 right, 22 left. So this is phase 2 of that, of the improvements there for that runway. We have, or we're seeking federal funding for it. So this will go design, bid, build. We hope to advertise this quickly to meet those tight deadlines for the grant funding. So it's 8 to 10 million, and it'll be DBE compliance. Parking lot rehab. This is for the main lots. As you come into the airport, currently we're through the CMR, we're working on the structural repairs on the parking lot structure. So we'll focus shortly thereafter on the surface components. So it'll be the same type of work, possibly some utility work, pavement type work, civil type work. And then this will be split in several components. So we'll start as early as fourth quarter of 2021 through fourth quarter of 2022. And it'll vary from 1 to 5 million for each lot, depending on the actual scope. This one will go design, bid, build, and the compliance on that would be 26 and 6.
Hey, Alex, do you have much more?
I have 2 slides.
Okay.
2 slides. So
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Perimeter fence replacement. This is in the South Airfield. This fencing is in a bit of disrepair here. And the purpose of this project is to repair some of that wildlife barrier and deterrent for compliance with our FAA Part 139, fourth quarter of 2021, 2 to 3 million, and the MNW, or the compliance is MNW, and again, design, bid, build. Taxiway AB relocation. This is a phase 2 additional airfield work up to the north. After some of the satellite work around there is built, we'll tackle the civil. It is slated to go construction manager at risk, 60 to 70 million. So it's a significant size project, second quarter of 2022, and it's 26 and 6 as a compliance. Same thing here, taxiway AB. This is also to facilitate the satellite concourse work there. This is coming up shortly here, first quarter of 2021. It's going to be delivered construction manager at risk, 80 to 100 million, several packages, opportunities there. It's a 21 month, and the compliance is 26 and 6. Lower level utility pavement reconstruction. This is to perform some utility work and upgrade some ADA ramps, sidewalks on the lower level core. This one is going to get started or has already started here shortly. ACOM, Hunt Clay Goboa is the CM that's tackling this work. This is 20 to 25 million. The compliance goals exceed that 26 and 6. So there's opportunities, several opportunities here. So that concludes the presentation. Here's a couple of our different websites and where we tweet out or provide updates on these contracts. So that concludes it.
Thanks so much, Alex. I didn't mean to rush you, but people are writing questions to you already. We're going to just ask those people to hold on just a second. We have one more presenter, and as soon as I share her slides, she will go over her information with you as well. And then we will then, at that point, take questions. Take questions at that time. So give me just a minute and I will be getting her presentation up here. For those of you that are looking for a copy of the slides and a recording of this presentation, it will be available and I will send you that information. Yolanda Woodruff is our second speaker, so if she would like to unmic herself. And this is your presentation, correct?
Yes, that is it. Correct. Thank you.
Okay, just tell me when to go, move your slides and you can take it from here.
All right. I will simply say next slide. All right. And let's get started. So good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for participating in today's virtual vendor fair. So I will talk a little bit about the concessions programs at both O'Hare and Midway International Airports. We'll go over airline operations. We'll go over both of the concessions programs at both airports. We will also go over the process to operate a concession, the elements of a proposal to bid for a concession, as well as the DBE and ACDBE certification process. And then finally, we'll go over key resources to keep you well informed about these processes. Next slide. Next slide. So here is an outline of our major airlines that fly from both O'Hare and Midway International Airports. As you can see, there is the Star Alliance, that is an intra-alliance that connects a lot of different airlines that take us throughout the world via both O'Hare and Midway International Airports. Next slide. These are some of our statistics for 2019, with COVID being a key factor in today's air travel environment. These are not your typical passenger volumes, but this does give an idea how we were operating prior to COVID. And we had over 105 million passengers to travel through both O'Hare and Midway airports, keeping in mind that in 2019, O'Hare had the most operations in the United States. And we had over 20 million people who traveled from Midway International Airport in 2019. And our airports actually provide direct and nonstop services to over 275 cities worldwide. Now, our passengers generally at about 51% do not leave the airport. They are actually connecting. So there is an opportunity for a captive audience during their travels through O'Hare and Midway International Airports. We actually connect to 6 continents through O'Hare, and we were actually noted as the most connected airport in the United States and the second most connected airport in the world. Next slide. These are the active gates currently for O'Hare Airport. Alex pointed out there will be additional gates with the 2 satellite terminals, as well as the rebuild of Terminal 2 and some additional gates in Terminal 5. But this is currently our active gate count at O'Hare International Airport. Next slide. So we have 3 terminals that are our core terminals, and that's Terminal 1, one of those terminals, concourses B and C. So there are 2 concourses, and the employments for those 2 concourses for 2019 were at 14.6 million passengers. When we talk about employments, we actually are talking about people who are getting onto airplanes traveling from O'Hare, Terminal 1, concourses B and C. The major carriers were United and Lufthansa for Terminal 1 in 2019. Next slide. Terminal 2 is another one of those core terminals in O'Hare Airport. Terminal 2 also has 2 concourses, Concourse E and Concourse F. And among those 2 concourses, we had 6.7 million passengers to board airplanes, with the major carriers being Air Canada, Delta, as well as United Airlines here in Terminal 2. Next slide. Terminal 3 is our third terminal, which is a part of our core terminals at O'Hare Airport. It actually has 4 concourses, Concourse G, H, K, and Concourse L. And you notice in Alex's presentation that he mentioned Concourse L had some gates that were added in 2018. So with those additional gates in 2019, we had a total of 17.4 million passengers in Terminal 3, and those are people that are boarding planes. The major carriers, Air Alaska, American Airlines, Iberia, Japan Airlines, as well as Spirit Airlines. Next slide. This is an outlook of Terminal 5. Terminal 5 in the near future, as Alex pointed out, will also get additional gates. However, in 2019, employments were at 3.4 million passengers departing from Terminal 5. And those major carriers included Aer Lingus, Alitalia, Emirates, Etihad, Finnair, and Korean Air. Next slide. We're going to go over our concessions program in those terminals that we just discussed. Next slide. So in the concessions program, we have some very specific goals, and those goals are outlined here. And they include the ability to optimize revenues to the airport as well as to the local economy. We also want to maximize the use of airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise companies. We also want to provide the opportunity for local businesses to operate at the airport. We also want to be sure that we provide high quality products and services to the traveling public. Now, also, our high quality facility designs that we want to offer to the traveling public. We also want to promote sustainability, increase the variety of offerings, and we want to showcase Chicago character because remember, 51% of those passengers will experience Chicago as a connecting passenger, never leaving the airport. We also want to provide first-class customer service and promote fair pricing and a value add to the purchases made at the airport. Next slide. These are the categories that you can anticipate operating at the airport. So we have our food and beverage category, which could include grab and go. It could include quick serve, fast casual dining. It could include snacks such as chocolates and popcorn, or specialty retail, which can run the gamut of gifts, lifestyle, electronics, books. Also, we have our news and gift category. Once again, gifts, souvenirs, convenience. So that category can also contain books, travel accessories, electronics, things of that nature, as well as services. Now, the services category really has a broad range of operations that run from spa to banking to automated retail, as well as advertising. And then let's not forget about our international traveler with duty free, but then there's also something for our domestic traveler, duty paid. And the advertising can run between indoor and outdoor advertising. So there are many ways to be able to operate a concession at the airports. Next slide. Here is the configuration of our current concessions program in our core domestic terminal areas, terminals 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, the concessions are dispersed throughout every terminal within every concourse from beginning to end. So there are plenty of opportunities for a concession to have exposure to those 105 million passengers that traveled through O'Hare and Midway in 2019. Next slide. This is an outline of the concessions that are currently operating in Terminal 5 at O'Hare. And once again, you can see that those concessions are spread throughout the terminal building, as well as down the concourse areas. And in the arrivals area, in the baggage claim level of Terminal 5, there are several concessions operating there as well. Next slide. Concessions performance for 2019 was extremely impressive, with a total concessions program sales per square foot at over $2,750 per square foot. Now, looking through the categories, sales per square foot were the greatest in our news and gift category. However, our sales were the greatest in our food and beverage category, but the food and beverage category holds the highest number of locations as well as the highest area in square footage. So food and beverage garnered over $2,900 per square foot, news and gift at over $3,100 per square foot, specialty retail $1,900, duty free $2,500, services at over $1,000 per square foot in 2019. Next slide. This is our sales performance by terminal. So I've outlined those terminals that are consist or that make up O'Hare International Airport, and that's terminals 1, 2, 3, and 5. We also have other locations located in our transportation center that is a little off-site. It's actually located in the parking structure. So Terminal 1, back one slide, thank you. So in Terminal 1, our sales per square foot at $3,500, Terminal 2, $2,300, Terminal 3, $2,600. In the parking structure and the other food and beverage areas, $2,200. Terminal 5, $2,100. So once again, total program, very significant sales per square foot for a total of $2,758 per square foot.
We're going to go kind of quickly through the rest of the slides because we have quite a few questions. So if we can go through the rest of the slides pretty quickly, I greatly appreciate it.
All right, not a problem. So next slide. And next slide. So we'll talk a little bit about the Midway concessions program. These are the major carriers that fly from Midway Airport. And remember, we had about 20 million passengers flying out of Midway Airport in 2019. Next slide. So this is our performance by category. Once again, very significant sales per square foot numbers for those different food and beverage, news and gift, specialty retail, and services categories for a total of over $2,200 per square foot. So we see that the program at Midway is just as impressive as our program at O'Hare. Next slide. Our Midway Airport Concessions program was recently redeveloped by a single entity operator, and that's Midway Partnership. Next slide. Midway Partnership has built out a total of 27 new units during their time. They started in 2017, and they've been very consistent in bringing new local flavors to Midway. Next slide. Also, Midway Partnership is still looking for people who want to participate with them in the design and construction area, either as general contractors or subcontractors, as suppliers of products and services. So next slide. We'll try to go through this as quickly as possible. So the steps to operate a concession, it's an open bid process to operate a concession at the airport. And what happens is the Department of Aviation decides what they want to develop within the airport, and then they release a request for proposal. Next slide. So what is that request for proposal? That request for proposal is an opportunity for an interested party to do, who wants to do business with the airport, to give an idea about their expertise and what they can bring to the airport environment in their operation of a concession in the specified category that the Department of Aviation is looking for. Next slide. key information about a request for proposal release. Usually when that proposal is released, it will be announced through a CDA web alert, and you can sign up for CDA web alerts by going to our website, www.flychicago.com. Lower right-hand side of the web page, you can click on sign up for web alerts. Usually proposals are released 90 days prior to submittal. There is generally a pre-proposal meeting that will take place prior to the submittal of the RFP. And of course, there are specific deadlines for submission of the RFP. However, you will have a chance to ask questions and for those questions to be answered prior to the submittal date of the RFP. Next slide. All right, so these are some of the terms and rents that are generally dictated within the RFP. So the proposal will most likely give you a range of rents and fees that you can expect to bid on when you submit your proposal. These are some of the general terms as well, depending on the concession type. Next slide. Once again, some of the concession types as well as those rents and fees. We talk about the airport concessions disadvantaged business enterprise as being a portion of your RFP submittal. The reason why we need that airport concessions disadvantaged business enterprise participation is because we are regulated by the FAA, and the FAA requires that we have this participation on our contracts. So generally our ACDBE goal on our concessions contracts will fall anywhere between 30% to maybe 60%. And this also is a good indicator of how much local and small business participation that we want to have in our concessions program. Next slide.
And I think I might have to stop.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have a lot of questions and I need to make sure that you all answer the questions.
Okay. Well, do me a favor and move through the slide, the resources slide.
Sure.
And let's leave that slide up while we answer some questions. That way they will have all of the information at their fingertips. Next slide.
Okay.
Next slide. Okay, so here we are. You can sign up for the CDA web alerts, bid packages, pre-bid conference, upcoming workshops and symposiums. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take the first question. When Alex mentioned the project being delivered CM at risk, does that mean that there will be new CM selection process for new CMs, or does that mean they're delivering CMR through the 3 CM teams that have already been selected?
Yes, they will be delivered through the current group, the 3 CMRs that are selected. We are not anticipating going out with a new CMR solicitation.
Okay, does a DBE count toward these MBE, WBE diversity goals, or does it need to be WBE, MBE specifically for Chicago?
That's more of a compliance question. I don't think our contracts are, JK, I think this is going to be more of a compliance question.
Becky, we'll get that answer to you directly. I will take it and get someone from certification and compliance to send you the answer to this question. Thank you. Any update on T5 hotels?
The T5 hotel is currently on hold. We're focusing on the redevelopment of the existing Hilton Hotel. And even that one's on hold because we still have to secure funding from the carriers. We do not have funding secured for the redevelopment or this new hotel at this time.
How could a chemical manufacturing company get involved in this project?
So if it's for the TAP program, I would suggest that they can go through flychicago.com. In flychicago.com, we have a link to the CMR's website where they are procuring the different components and they advertise as well. So without understanding the nature of the services that this entity is providing, I can't necessarily say. And in addition to Fly Chicago, they can visit DPS's website. And Jackie, this is probably more on your wheelhouse as to how they can register for opportunities.
Sure. There's two things that they can do. They can always go online to our website and take a look at the buying plan. And when you go to the DPS website, www.chicago.gov/Chicago DPS or DPS, you can click on the icon that has the picture of the buying plan. It has 15-month opportunities spelled out of what categories are which. Also, you can sign up for DPS alerts. You can do that from that same website area and click on the picture of the letter and sign up for DPS alerts, and we will advertise any alerts that are specifically for specific categories that come in that have not been getting a lot of traction. The next question is, what are the projects that would be included in a target market CM project?
Okay, so I'll give an example or a couple of examples. If the projects that I had, the taxiway rehab project, the one that went where I listed as the design bid build, that would be an example of a project. If it didn't say delivered CMR via CMR and it had design bid build on the presentation, then that means that would be, assuming these target market contracts are in place, they would be the ones responsible for the CM component of that design bid build project. So again, I listed the different types of projects. There are facilities, runways, different types of projects, but to be more specific, those would be the ones that would be tagged with the target market CM.
Thank you. I don't know if this is you or Yolanda. If we sign up to Fly Chicago, can we see all the projects?
Fly Chicago, I suppose if it's for concessions, any kind of opportunity related to either an RFP or any type of solicitation, is my understanding that they're advertised there. And again, in DPS's website, if we're using DPS to procure the service, they could also go there, but we also piggyback off of those opportunities. So for example, everything that I have listed on there that was design bid build, and even the CM as agencies, those we piggyback off of the DPS alerts. So they're advertised in our website. And then as far as concessions, I'm gonna assume that applies to everything.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
so yes, that is
Sorry, Yolanda, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is correct. So I believe on the flychicago.com website, if you click on doing business and you click another link that takes you to bid opportunities, that you can see upcoming bids as well as previously released bids. And it may actually also mirror DPS's website.
Wonderful, wonderful. We have just a few more. What IT consultant opportunities will be put out for bid in the near future? If anyone wants to jump in on that one.
Well, I'll just for design and construction, we're not gonna put out a solicitation for IT consulting to support O'Hare 21. We would rely on our IT team, Diego Ferrer, who's our CIO. He's the one that heads the IT group. So if it's a contract that supports his efforts, I wouldn't be the one that would know or have any knowledge of that. But for anything related to the O'Hare 21 program in the area of IT, we would rely on him for his expertise and guidance for the program.
Wonderful, wonderful. And last but not least, I'm going to let our guest speakers give you guys a parting message. So anything you want to add as we wrap up the next 5 minutes or so? That was the end of the questions. I will just say to you, for the attendees, let me thank you for coming. Hopefully you'll join us for our next workshop, which is the Financial Resources Workshop at 2:30. I will pass the mic over to Yolanda and let her go first to say a few words, and then Alex will close it out, and then I'll come back.
I just want to say thank you to all of the participants today. And I want you to continue to be vigilant and to continue to stay safe during this pandemic, first and foremost. And secondly, I just want to say that I am pleasantly surprised at the number of people and businesses that are still interested in doing business at Chicago, O'Hare, and Midway International airports. Just rest assured that the airport industry is live and well, and that we will make it through this pandemic, and we will continue to be a successful business opportunity for our local and disadvantaged business community. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. And Alex?
Yeah, just one last thing I forgot on my slide and on my deck there. We also obviously support Midway, although we are coming off of the major redevelopment, the modernization at Midway, the parking garage enhancements, and the checkpoint. There will be opportunities. We're currently working on those. So keep an eye out for those opportunities. And again, flychicago.com, that would be the best place to get updates as it relates to the opportunities on design and construction, and also includes CMR resources as to the work that they're doing. And then again, as Yolanda and Jackie mentioned, be safe, and thank you for taking the opportunity to join us here today.
All right. I thank both of you again for imparting that great information. I am super excited for our participants to get these opportunities that both of you talked about. I echo what Yolanda said. It's just a moment in time. We will pass through. I say stay safe, stay well. Put your mask on, wash your hands, social distance. We'll have no choice. Our mayor just said it at 1:05 when we started this presentation. So we want to be able to see you all live and in person next year at the vendor fair. We want to have some more virtual things as well, but we want to make sure everybody is there live and in person so that we are able to talk with you one-on-one. So thank you very much. See you next time. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you both, Alex and Yolanda.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you. All right.
And anyone that wants this presentation, it will be up after this workshop a little bit later on this afternoon. Thank you.